chase it. Money's moving to me. I'm a millionaire. Money better cases. I ain't gotta chase it.
Hey, what's going on, beautiful people? Happy Thursday to you all. I'm so glad that you have joined us so far because listen, tonight is going to be amazing for another late night CBD coffee jazz and conversations. And as you see, I have a dynamic group of women with me tonight. So if you're watching live, go ahead and let us know where you are watching from. Rep your city, rep your country. Let us know where in the virtual building you are watching us from tonight. And we're going to get into some juicy topics. If you missed yesterday, you want to go back and watch it. This show, I'm going to go ahead and put a disclaimer right now, okay? You don't know what's going to come out of our mouths, okay? This is an unscripted, free show, and you're going to see that very soon. But listen, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and get started with my intro, and then I'm going to have the great privilege and honor of introducing the dynamic women that are in front of me. And clearly, you can tell I have not had my coffee yet because I'm like all hyped. Watch the transformation in a moment. But we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Sharita Leon. I went from being a homeless, disabled single mom to a two-time #1 best-selling author with books that were on the bestsellers list for over 2 years straight. I'm also a life relationship and business coach, an internet marketing strategist, entrepreneur, international speaker, and the protege of the legendary Les Brown, a forex trader and investor. And I empower my tribe to their God-given purpose while creating wealth and have healthy relationships. I'm also a believer, and my faith is exuded in all that I do. So welcome, everyone. I have the great honor and distinction to present to some and introduce to others. To my right, the one and only Pastor Dr. Samantha Phillips, who is a giant in her own right. I'm talking about a woman who has literally been on major networks for many years, a woman who has had the privilege of pastoring for her and her husband a church for over 14 years, someone who is well versed in business. I mean, she's a mother, a grandmother. I mean, the list goes on, an author. She is the protege of the great Miles Monroe. I mean, there's so much to say about her. Y'all give it up for Dr. Sam. Woo, woo, woo.
Hey, y'all. Wow, what an introduction. I want to meet you. I wish she was my friend.
Yeah, right? That's my girl. And then I have the great honor and privilege of presenting to some and introducing to others the one and only, the Glamazon herself, pageant queen ×3, Dr. Veronica Walters, who is the founder of the Walters Academy for Entrepreneurship. She is a college professor. She's a mother, a grandmother, a serial entrepreneur, and her back and booty is famous, y'all. Give it up for Dr. V. Oh my gosh.
Listen, y'all starting already.
Already. Let me I got the coffee yet. Let me sip my coffee, y'all.
You didn't know my back and my booty was famous.
I know we lost you, Dr. Sam.
But now they are. So
You didn't know my back and my booty was famous.
Somebody has feedback. So listen, we are having our. Do you guys see that feedback?
you know what? Hold on a
It's
second.
me.
It might be because of me. Hold on.
Okay.
It was me.
Yeah, I got my nails done today for the first time in like 4 months. Okay, and. Hey,
I
come
do it
on
too.
here. Yes. And let me tell you something. It felt good to finally get my nails done again. And so my nail polish is popping, y'all. But anyway, let me tell you why we are on here tonight. So as we sip on, you see, we all have our coffee. Dr. V, where's your coffee? I can't. Where's your coffee, Dr. V? Oh, there you go.
This thing said,
Listen. So we all have.
this is cute. I want to see V's cup. Let me see a cup. Hold it up. I can't see it's where your name is at.
Yeah, put your cup up. There you go.
Ah,
What does it say? What does it say?
Wake up and smell the
says,
coffee. I know that's right.
Come on, wake up and smell the caprice. CBD the coffee. Come on. Wake up and smell the Capri CBD coffee, y'all. So listen, as we sip our Caprice CBD coffee that makes you feel oh so good. Tonight we're going to discuss a little something. So we didn't have, we just flowed with it yesterday. But today I want to start off with this. So we made mention yesterday about sliding in the DMs and whatnot, right? And so, Dr. Sam face. Hey, Miss Carolyn. And so tonight I want to talk about this, right? Because sliding in the DM is a real thing, right? It could be an epic fail, and there could be a lot of successes. Now, I know, Dr. Sam, you shared your thoughts yesterday via comments. So I want you to start off tonight. Let us know your thoughts once again so everyone can see what your thoughts are about sliding in the DM.
Okay, so now I acknowledge that I have been married. On Saturday is our 22-year wedding.
Wow, yay! That's
and
awesome.
So I am thankful to say that we have been married, the whole time. We've been married the whole time. And it's a blessing. It truly is. So with that being said, I acknowledge that, this has not been something I needed to think about as far as personally, but I do care because I have, proteges that I love, like daughters that are single, and for many years, young ladies, middle-aged ladies, single ladies have been people that I have mentored. And so I care deeply about their lives. I care deeply about what Brianna, we got you now. We got you, girl. And so, we deeply care. I deeply care about this issue. And I also feel like how we present ourselves and where we meet people really matters. So I just kind of want to put this out there, right? Because, for instance, when I met my husband, so even before I was saved, let's just put it like this, we got to go all the way back there, right? So, which really wasn't that far ahead of meeting my husband because we were very young and I was just on my little journey in my spiritual walk, just beginning. So back that up though, I was a club girl. So I went from the club to the church. Like,
come on from the club to the church.
I have been to the Lord. I was very committed to my clubbing. And just like I can't do regular anywhere else, I couldn't do regular in the club either. Like I wasn't going to no country club. I wasn't going to not country club. You know what I mean?
Right.
Country club, right? I wasn't going to no backwoods club. I wasn't going to no shack. I wasn't going. No, it had to be a certain way. We got 8 stories. We got basements.
Okay,
we got all that kind of like. I was a club girl, and in being a club girl, though, you come, you get dressed, you're like the bomb, you go, you have fun, and you're there to dance, you're there to hang out, you're there to have fun. But I had a rule that a lot of my girls didn't have. And because of my rule, I avoided a whole lot of heartache and drama and foolery in my life, even before I met my husband. And one of my rules was, and I always had this saying, y'all mess with these dudes you meet in the club if you want to. You meet them in the club, you'll lose them in the club. And that's how I felt. Like that was the honest to God rule. And I didn't care how fine, I didn't care whatever you thought you was. If I met you there, we ain't dating. There wasn't no question for me. I don't care. And and there was all these scenarios where people try to get me to break that rule. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I don't talk to people I meet in the club. And I'll never come here. I was like, right. You and everybody else I've been, I'll come here. My friends made me come to it's my birthday. They just brought me to the club. I've never been to the club. This is my first time. It'll be my last. No, you good. Keep going. You keep coming to the club because I'm not going to be giving you my phone number. So I had that though, because I really felt like when you pick somebody, character is the most important factor. I knew that. I learned it the hard way in my early 20s. And I made it a rule. And anytime I violated that rule, I regretted it. I was right. And when I stuck to that rule, I picked a real one. You understand what I'm saying? A real one. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I'm saying. And I feel like the DMs, I know we talked about it. It's like the streets of the world and all that stuff. But I just feel like to lend some to what you said, though. Because you said it depends on how. My thing is, catfishing is a real thing.
It sure is.
And so they know how to, it's so easy to pretend like you're somebody you're not online. So,
Go sip on that.
I don't know. I mean, I hear these people, they've been talking to somebody for 2 years online, 3 years online, and they've never met. And I'm like,
oh no.
Doggone.
Oh no.
I'd rather be single, to be honest. I'd rather be single all my days.
Everybody on all your days. That part. We're no pen pals too. Oh no, the devil is alive. See, this is where I stand, right? So
where do you stand, Sharita?
I'm about to tell you where I stand.
Come on, talk to us about the DMs.
Let me talk to you about the DMs, okay? Because they be sliding in. You know what I'm saying? They be sliding in. So this is the thing. There is a proper way of doing things, and there is a totally backwards way of doing things. If your first initial conversation or introduction to someone is boom, sending pics that are inappropriate, you're done. You're immediately blocked. If you come in and you have no real substance and there's no conversation, you're not even trying to engage or find out more about me, then there's nothing to talk about. If you come in straight up, oh, I like you. You don't even know me. What do you mean you like me, right? But if you actually come in and build a relationship, build a friendship, it's the same thing just like in the real world outside of online. If you are looking to meet someone, you want to get to know them, right? You want to create some type of friendship with that person. See what commonality you have, right? And with that, the same thing goes if you slide in somebody's DM. If you're sliding in my inbox or if you're sliding in my DM, I need to know that one, we're having a conversation to see how we can be friends, what we have in common. You like a post, I like a post, whatever. What do we have to actually talk about other than going to whatever you think is going to be the end goal? And so when someone comes in and they're conversational and they're literally trying to find out more about you, or maybe doing their research. How about that? They've done research. They've gone on your page. They know what you're about. And sometimes they've been following you for some time. Now, the person that has been following you for some time and or has researched your page and see what you're about. And then bring, you say, is that a psycho? I could not. No, they're psychos. They're the stalkers and the psychos. But then they're the ones that are actually, they're studying, right? They're studying to show themselves approved. They met somebody. They want to know that when they come, they know that, okay, I know this about her. I know this is what she likes, what she doesn't like, or conversational pieces. So I just saw your video. You mentioned this. What does that mean, right? Being able to come in as a real person, wanting to know more about you, being respectful, not being often weird and creepy, right? Because you get blocked for that. So there is a proper way of doing things, right? Just be yourself, but this is the thing that Dr. Sam, you mentioned that people online can live a totally different lifestyle and be totally fake. And that is so true. At the same time, I also believe that you can only carry that mask for so long. And so one thing that I do appreciate about online is that you can see how consistent someone has been in whether they're faking, whether they're moved from this to that. You can kind of gauge from that. And that's what I like. For example, if I meet someone in the street, be it at the office or a play, at a cinema, or at a political a political gathering.
That might be a good place to meet somebody.
What'd you say?
Now that might be a good place to meet somebody at a political
maybe, but I've met some there too. And
but don't get me going about the inaugural ball.
See,
also trifling.
Exactly. So trifling shows up everywhere, okay? Online, with the president, at the church, somebody, they're everywhere. The good reference at all. So it's all about how someone approaches you, right? Because you can't gauge someone. You meet them one night at an event. You don't know who they are, right? You only know what they're presenting to you, and then you take the time to get to know that person. But I believe that someone who has been consistent online, you can kind of gauge what type of person they are. Now, of course, you don't eventually know that until later on, but if you're discerning and you can actually see how consistent they've been on what they post, how consistent they've been on what they share, that can give you a background about someone easier or faster than meeting someone out and about that you don't know. That's what I appreciate about the online world when it comes to social media. Dr. V.
Well, listen,
Yeah,
this is my
please.
thing. If I meet you out in the world, I'm going to Google you. I'm going to find you on Facebook. I'm going to find
Exactly.
you on Instagram. I'm going to look at that stuff. But listen, let me tell y'all something. Let me just say this, okay? Let me just say this. I can remember my husband and I were not together, and he had used my computer and left his Facebook logged in.
Ooh.
And I saw all of these messages from women, and they were not the truth.
Wow.
They just were not the truth. And so people will, I'm telling you, I know a lot of when we had gotten remarried, I know it's people mad. They were furious because they were just, they were going to get married. He was
wow.
like, it was a lot of stuff. And so I just know that people say what they think you want to hear. And not only that, but I remember I did some online dating and stuff. And listen, folks lied. They just lied.
And what did they lie about?
Everything.
Not everything.
Everything. I'm like, you didn't even have to lie about that. They would lie about some things that didn't even matter. And I'm not saying that everyone did that. Everyone didn't do that. But I'm always concerned because I've got to figure out if this is really that person or if this is someone who has copied their account. And so I'm checking grammar. So I'm going through grammar, trying to see, okay, is this real? And
plagiarism.
Y'all, let me tell y'all something.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. But not even just in terms of dating, but just in terms of who people are, period. A lot of people present a facade. And so I always appreciate those people on social media who are who they say they are. You know, who the way they show up is who they are in real life, right?
Exactly.
And it's not always the case. So people fake the funk for friendships, for business, and for romantic relationships. But all of it comes back to one thing. They're not confident in the value that they bring as that's the person that they are, you know? So that to me is the big thing. Listen, we're talking about how to slide in the DMs properly. How about how to be yourself on social media?
That part.
With the pressure of presenting a perfect life and being perfect and looking perfect and not having any imperfections. Like, it just is a lot of pressure. Well, that made my head hurt.
I'll say this though, and I mean, I know everybody likes something different, right? Like most people don't, not everybody wants the same thing. Let's just say it like that. But for me, you know, one of the qualities that I appreciate in a man is a man who is very focused and has a lot going on. So for me, heaven forbid, I won't be in a situation where I'm online trying to meet nobody. But man, look, if you got time to be on Facebook like that or Instagram or whatever, it's unlikely. It's unlikely that what you got going on is anything that is of even a little bit of interest to me. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
no, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Because it's good that I'm married to who I'm married to, because, like, for instance, he literally almost knows nothing about too much. Like, to me, that's the thing, like, but everybody likes something different. Some people want a man that's gonna talk to them all the time. I am not that person. You understand? Like, I need you to not be talkative because we both can't be.
We both can't be. I need the balance.
I have friends whose husbands talk so much, and I just sit there and go, oh. I'm so glad you love him. Good God today, because good Lord, I have no idea. I don't know how you can do this.
But this is the thing. This is the thing, because I do believe that my husband clearly is a man of stature. You know, he is very purpose driven. He is very successful in what he does. He's purpose driven. He's a serial entrepreneur. He does a lot, right? In him doing a lot, that does not negate that he gets on social media. And he may not be on there 24/7, right? You don't have to be online forever to get into somebody's inbox, right? Or DM. And so, and or he could be a social entrepreneur. So if he's a social entrepreneur, he's going to be on those platforms. He could be an influencer, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean, and I think because of the fact that you have been married so long, and before there was social media, before there was any of that.
It's true. It's true. That was back in the day. In my day, it was even before it was big to do. What did they used to call them back then? Because I didn't do chat rooms or something.
Exactly, chat rooms. Exactly. You were before all of that. So all this stuff. It part of it is, you know, culture, because now it's becoming more accessible or acceptable to be able to do online dating and, you know, do the face. It's being more common now. Shoot, people stuck in a pandemic, they sliding a whole lot of DMs now. But prior to, those were things that were shunned, and it was like you meet someone, you know, the regular way, right? But times have changed. Just like now, we make money on social media, right? We have new business partners on social media. We do ministry on social media. So all the things have evolved, and so has dating and marriage. And so for me, I don't believe that just because you're about your business, you can't slide in there, because you have your down moments as well, whether that's at 3 o'clock in the morning before you take a nap, you go to sleep because you've been working all day, or because, you know, that's your schedule works that way. I mean, it doesn't mean that, but you are able
Finding your DMs at 3 o'clock in the morning.
I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
You know what? Let me just say this. If you slide in my DMs at 3 a.m., you looking at me like a snack and not like a DM. So here's my
Yes, you are.
So here's let me interject. I have friends though that are successful men, and and are social mediapreneurs. Okay, to the tune of multiple 6 figures a month, that kind of stuff. And what I know about these guys is that I know that they do have a tendency to inbox women that they're interested in. But then the ones that they actually respect, that they see as potential long-term mates, or somebody that they see as someone that would be the level of woman that they would want by their side, they would never DM her. They may research, they may find out who she is, they may find out, you know, like about her business, her company, her whatever, and then try to see if they know anyone that knows her that can introduce them. Find a way to reach out to her in a more respectful platform, so that from the door they're coming in correct. Because I know one that, just like I said in the comments, where, you know, they where you find, or when I said it tonight, like where you find them, you lose them. Like, homeboy lost his situation playing games like this. But in that being said, I also know somebody who's related to one of his jump offs. And I know for a fact that he came to her in the DMs, okay?
Mm-hmm.
He came to her in the DMs, and that she wasn't the only one. I know other people that he messed with. So he saw something, and he of course, he reached out in a respectful way, because he's not that type of person. He's a very high level kind of guy. And, you know, we had a conversation the other day about can't be no, you know what, if there ain't no, you know, we were talking the concept, hey, it's late night, whatever, I don't care.
No, exactly. Be free.
There's a concept of like pimps and hoes, and I was saying there can be no pimps if there are no hoes. So like, we don't want to be mad for there to be pimps, because we were talking about how people call people pimps in the pulpit and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm not saying the pimps are right, but I'm saying there can be no pimps if there wasn't any hoes.
Come on now.
With that being said, right? Like, this type of situation, homeboy had a habit of, when he saw something that he was attracted to in one way online, he would slide into a DM, because he knows that kind of chick is going to respond that way. And he can say what he needs to say to get what he wants from her. But when he wanted to meet someone that he perceived to be at a level that he would want to actually be in a relationship with, he would not inbox that person. He would find another way.
Right. But a lot of that too goes because of what he's already conditioned himself to believe. Because he already knows, I'm going to go to the Instagram models and I know she's going to do what I want her to do, and amen. But now when he wants to go to someone else, he's not going to go in that same fashion because that's his way of getting the tip off. Right. So it's all based on, again, that person, what they're looking for, right? And what they've already conditioned themselves to believe. Okay, I gotta impress her more. I gotta do this. I gotta, show up a certain way. And so it always goes back to that person's intention, how they do things, and also how they're presenting themselves to other people, right? Because I've seen stories, I've heard stories, and it's like, what? And then, but at the same time, I know stories literally of you in church, the man of God, the good right reverend. Come
on now.
Like,
I tell people all the time, y'all go ahead and think that's an automatic pass if y'all want to. I know better.
That part, drink your coffee, Dr. V. That part right there, listen, that will make you. The thing is, that can make you not ever want to be anywhere near a church ever again in your life, because it's like, but it goes to show you, whether they're in the church, whether they're in politics, whether they're a student, Yale, Harvard degreed, if there's someone that's literally on the book, it doesn't matter. It's the spirit behind the person, the intent of the person, and the character, as you mentioned, of who they are. And it's up for us, the person, either way, be it male or female, to be discerning of who is actually coming to you, prayerful, and then see what that intent is before you go and try to go, oh my God, I'm in love, and you're doing things you shouldn't be doing. It all goes back to the character, and also, where are you, right? Because we can't talk about the person that's sliding in the DM and talk about where you are and where you're ready to receive. Because if you're in a place where you're just thirsty and you just want anybody to come to you, you'll allow anybody to come to you, and before you know it, you're out here talking about, oh my gosh, I can't believe he did this. And well, where were you? What was your job? What were you doing? Right, Dr. V?
Yeah, and that's very real. Listen, I'm blown away because, that's how young people, a lot of them meet the people that they date. They meet them on Instagram. So I'm talking to my sons and they, have girlfriends. And I'm like, well, where did you meet her? Listen, because they were going to the way. It wasn't girls. And I told them, you don't mess with nobody that go to the way. Listen, I wanted them to learn very early on. You don't do all that other stuff. Where you eat. Don't do that. Okay? You mess my money up. Another set of problems. Okay? You can't date nobody that goes to this school. Period. Okay.
You know what? And I'm so glad because maybe with a minor exception, because we have 4 sons and we raised them, and the whole time, from the time they were little boys until the time they were graduating high school, these boys were obviously in our church. And so one of the things that I love was that in general they were not ever interested in anybody in the church. Like they almost
church boys.
We always did. Our church culture was different than a lot of churches too, though, and that was intentional. That was something that Dr. Michael and I really wanted to make sure was there. That it was not, anyway, that it was positive, right? Mm-hmm. That was important to us, and so we would do our best to make sure. But in that culture, one of the things, our boys always had their friend groups outside as well. I think that's kind of like a mistake as well, but I don't want to take the thing all the way left, because I know we're still talking about like, how to slide in the DMs properly. Can it be done properly? I told my boys, absolutely not, like for the same reasons, like, no, but I don't know. They all met, like right now, only 3 of our sons have, like, one's married, 2 have girlfriends, but none of them ever met, and none of them have met them online. Like one met at college, the other one they met in school. Marquise met one at like a get together. His wife, he met her at a get together. So none of them ever met you know, not, in fact, they haven't all had a whole lot of girlfriends, at least that they told us about. And the ones that we know about, they all met them like, you know, through a friend or something like that. So people still do, even in this young generation, because my oldest son is 25. The youngest son is 19-ish. I think he's going to be 20.
19-ish.
I think he's going to be 20 at the end of the month. I got to think about the math. This is 2020. Yeah, he's going to be 20 at the end of the month. There's too many of them to know all the time, okay?
Listen.
At the end of the month. But honestly, none of them have ever dated anybody that they met online. It's always been people that they met in person. So they still do meet in person.
Mm-hmm.
And they do. But see, I know for my sons, think about it. They spent their day at the school, right? So they weren't at a traditional school. They weren't there with a lot of girls. They don't go a lot of places. My boys don't go a lot of places. So they're very much homebodies. They're on the game. They're on social media. And so that's how they, you know, meet people. So right now, both of them have girlfriends that they met online. And I'm like, well, where'd you meet her? They're like, online. But this is the thing. These young women are amazing.
Oh,
they
good.
are absolutely incredible. But let me talk about these sliding into DMs, right?
Because the girls is worse than the boys.
Well, and this is what happened. So one of the young women, her mom found me on Facebook and slid in my inbox because she wanted to know more about us because her daughter was spending time with my son.
Okay. I thought you were saying something totally different. I was like,
no. But she wanted to, like her daughter's dating for the first time. It's her first real boyfriend, you know, and she wants to know who are his people, what are they like? So she did some research, you know, like as parents we can do, right? And we had an amazing conversation and discovered we had a lot in common. She's an educator, you know, I mean, they're good people. And I was glad that she found me and that we had a chance to talk. But it also gave me the opportunity to share with her who my son is. And the thing about me is I'm not going to fake like my son is someone he's not, right? I'm going to be like, well, listen, all I'm going to say is this. He's the type of young man that I would want my daughter to date. Like, I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is he's a good guy and he's very upfront because I've been very open with my boys about being upfront, you know, being upfront. If you're dating multiple people and you're not in a relationship, then you let people know, listen, we're not in a relationship. We're not in a relationship.
So let me ask you this, do you know how they met online? Did he tell you, did he approach her? Did she approach him? Because, you know, I know we're trying to talk about like this whole DM thing. And I'm telling you, I know that we see, and I think it's good that we see it differently because I'm taking into consideration what you're saying about the whole, that the world has changed. I appreciate your younger point of view as a single woman who loves the Lord, but is also, you know, in business and, you know, and you know, without a doubt that you see your husband. I like how do you refer to yourself again? As a wife? A single wife, right? Because what you're saying is I'm single, but I am a wife. And I love that. And so with that being said, my old, you know, and forgive me, but on this one, I still am like, I still have issue. Like I still feel like that when it is the right man. And I'm not talking about a church guy because a church guy is different than a man of God. A man of God for real. Not a man of God because he says he's a man of God.
I want somebody.
A man of God that is for real about his business, right? He is for real about his business and in his relationship with God. He's for real about his business as a human being and as a responsible adult and as a man. You know, I just feel like even if he sees you online and it sparks his interest in you, that he's going to come correct. And that is not, but I appreciate what you're saying. I think it's not by sliding in the DMs. To me, it's disrespectful that you would even try. But like,
why? Why do you think that's disrespectful?
Huh?
Why is it disrespectful to get someone's DM? Why?
Because to me, like I said, I just feel like that is how you approach someone that you like a cat call, like we were talking, like you mentioned it the other night, right? It's like if you're walking down the street and then there's the idiots that cat call you, like as if you would stop and say, yeah, here's my number, like, hey, you fine, okay, I knew that when I left, bye.
Right.
My favorite response is, I'm aware, my husband tells me all the time, thank you, goodbye. You understand what I'm saying? Like I hear it all the time, I'm good, thanks. So nobody wants a cat caller, right? But to me, DMs is like that. But I appreciate your point of view, because you're saying that, just like you could be walking up the street and someone say, excuse me, because I don't know if I'll ever be able to get to know you again. My name is such and such, can I introduce myself to you? And then it proceed in a proper manner. I'm not saying that can't happen. I mean, who am I to say that it can't? It's just
hold it on. It's like
hard for me.
Real hard. And they don't wear pants.
But if I was in your position, I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know if I could.
You know what's funny though? Is like, okay, employers now will go and search you on social media to see if they want you to work for them, right? They want to, again, get a glimpse of who they're going to possibly hire. People meet in real life, probably at maybe a political dinner, maybe at church or a church event, or they'll meet at a restaurant. What's your Instagram? What's your Facebook? Let me tell you a real situation that happened to me. So I went to, because I go to movies, I used before this pandemic, I would go to movies by myself all the time, right? I would date myself all the time.
I'm married and I date myself too. Go ahead. Another story. That's another episode. Let's go.
Yes. So I went to movie theaters one day, and as I was leaving the movie theater, a gentleman there wanted to talk to me. So I'm gonna be honest with you, right? So first of all, I'm thinking to myself, how did you even see me? We're in the theater. Like, we're just getting out, but I was whatever. And then he was short. So I was like, that's not my type either. So, but his beard game was strong, though. His beard game was strong. Yes, honey. So I said, let me just hear what he has to say. Now, I didn't know him. I didn't know anything about him or whatever. So we exchanged business cards. And they're like, well, what's your Facebook? So we exchanged Facebook, right? That's the thing. People now is like, well, what's your social media handle? That's the exchange. That's the actual business card. That's the let me get to know you. And what I started to do, looking up. And this man is a very well established, very known man in many different spheres of influence. And I was like, okay, but it would have been no different if he had gotten into my DM prior to us meeting at the movie theater, right?
It would not have been, or it would have been?
It would not have been any different, because if he would have gotten into my inbox, I would have been able to go on his page, just like I did from the theater, to see who he was, right? I was able to gauge who he was, research him beyond just Facebook, and so that, okay, you can potentially get my attention right now and have my time and engage in conversation. So the inboxing, I'm telling you, I know Dr. Samuel, but it's how you do it. For example, let's just say we're in a Facebook group, and let's just say the Facebook group that we're in are, entrepreneurs, leaders in politics, Ivy League, whatever.
Saying that must be where your man is coming from, girl. Because I don't know if you're doing that on purpose or not, but you keep mentioning that. So you're marrying a politician or something.
Listen, I don't know. I don't want to deal with that.
Keep mentioning that, boy. She done said that like 4 times tonight.
I've been in a lot of circles with different politicians and ambassadors. So, that's why it comes up. So let's just say we're in this group, right? And we're engaging. Someone's putting great content out and asking questions. So what do you think? So now everybody's chiming in. And then someone says, oh, I like her way of thinking, or I like his way of thinking. Let me go and hit that friend, add a friend. You've added this friend to your page. Now you guys are commenting, you're seeing what's going on. And at this point, they go from liking comments, from liking posts, to now, hey, how are you? I noticed X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Conversation is now had. And now, potentially, boom, somebody's husband, somebody's wife. I'm just saying.
And I know Dr. Sam is younger than me, but Dr. Sam is older than me. old fashioned. That's what I'll say. Not older, but just,
Right.
more
More traditional with that aspect.
more traditional. But for me, because so much happens on social media, from business to activities, like social media, I don't even carry business cards anymore. I don't carry them. I use an app. I send you my card, my e-card with my social media.
Mhm.
That's where I get to know you. You get to know me. We can see who we are to see whether we want to do business together, whether we want to be friends, whether we want to get to know each other any further. Like all of that tends to happen on social media. So when I meet people who don't have social media, I'm real leery of them.
That part, yes, Dr. V, that's so true. You
Why
don't
don't
know.
you have social media?
Now, see, I would have the opposite thing. Like, to me, you on social media a lot. I'm like, nah, bro, I'm good. You know what I mean? I'd be like, nah, I'm good. You talk too much and you got too much time on your hands.
That's a red flag for me.
This isn't just about. I feel like God gave me wisdom really early when it came to this, because I made my mistakes young, I made them early, and I made them big. And so when I found myself in bad situations from, in my opinion, making bad decisions. I mean, at the end of the day, can't nobody do nothing to me that I don't invite them into my life to do that. Mm-hmm. And so when I came to faith, and then, and by his grace, he leads me out of this craziness, right? And sets me free. I ask for wisdom. And I feel like some of the things that I knew better than to do, but then in the past I would bring my standard. I would allow it to come down, to give somebody the benefit of the doubt, or to try this or to try that, just to try, and it never worked. And it was always a mistake. And so for me, wisdom and faith and strength and wholeness in my soul allowed me to make my wall that you got to get over before you can even be in the consideration of running very high. But in that, I avoid a bunch of pushes, not so high that nobody can get in. Do you understand? But that only those that know how to climb and climb right can get in. You see what I'm saying? Absolutely. And it's just so that you might have a conversation just to see.
Absolutely.
There may be
all day, every day.
It can be done. I'm conceding to you to say that it can be done. But let me say this. I know we got a few people on. I would love, if you're watching, I kind of want to hear what people thinking. Like put in the comments, like if you want to comment, I want to hear from you. And I know I have a little watch party going. So if I look down, I'm just looking to see if anybody has anything to say. We've got apostles on, we've got some women of God that are on. There's people of all different walks of life that are on on my watch party. So I want to hear what y'all have to say. What do you can be done right? And I would even like to hear from some of the men. I would like to hear from you, ladies. What is your experience been? What do you think? Can it be done? Can it be done right? For the single women in the world, like, can a person slide into the DMs and be legit? Or is it just, like open invitation for booty calls? Even if they're coming for you, man, look, I was that at 13, right? Brothers will say whatever they got to say to get what they want. The smart ones know better than to just come, all yucky. Like, that's insulting. But, wise. Yeah. Well, maybe not wise. Maybe wise ain't the right word. But, cunning people know how to say what they need to say to get what they want.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's in all spheres of life, in all aspects, right? So I know, for example, for me, I am a dynamic, I can't even say a catch because I'm not something to be caught, but I am phenomenal as a woman. Right. And so clearly I'm a serial entrepreneur and a social entrepreneur. So just like in the same fashion that people come to me to partner with me in business, purchase products from me, purchase services, the same fashion that obviously men are drawn to me as well. Now, because I know who I am, and because I also know who my husband is, they're just absolutely no consideration. Like, delete, block. It's just not going anywhere, right? Mm-hmm. But to have the mindset of knowing who you are and what the standard is, because I think sometimes in hearing you, it sounds as if the standard that is kept or should be kept is compromised if it's in a DM. And that's not the case, right? And so, in the same fashion that someone can inbox me and say, hey, can you tell me more about your Capri CBD coffee? Sure, I can. Right? And I'll give them the information. Someone can come and inbox me and say, hey, great video. And I saw that you mentioned X, Y, and Z. Boom. What does that actually mean? You know what I'm saying? So it all is about how you do things, being respectful, and then being discerning, right? Being discerning of what it is that someone's actually coming to you for. And then you don't settle. You don't settle, you don't compromise, and you're not thirsty. You know, if you're thirsty, then hey, you'll fall for anything and anyone. I am single on purpose, right? I could be in a relationship right now if I wanted to be in, right? But I know who my spouse is. And so because of that,
Girl, who is he? Who is he? What Yale man is that? Girl, let me know. So I can tell him, come on, get your life together.
Because we want to make sure that what we're saying is you know who he is in the spirit. And
right.
He is manifesting in this season for you as well. So, because we don't want anybody that might be watching, since you have not disqualified them from contacting you in the DM. So we just want to make sure that if he is watching,
come on.
Still believing for the manifestation of your name right now, but she knows who you are. So when you come, she will be able to let you know right away. Nah, baby, you ain't the one.
Come on, amen. That part, yes. Thank you, sis. Absolutely. Exactly. That's it right there. And so it's a matter of just not compromising and being. And this is the thing too. When a man is confident about who he is, right, and where he is in his purpose and pursuing that purpose and pursuing the call on his life, he knows how to pursue a woman, right? And that's the other thing, pursuing someone. And so the same fashion someone can pursue you in real life off of online is the same way it can happen. Yeah, I know you're not trying to hear it.
I feel like that's another rookie mistake. That's the other thing. Look,
what?
The good ones, the real ones, they suck at pursuing women. That's why they ain't cheaters. You understand? Because they ain't that dude. They're not smooth like that. They're not good at talking to women. They goofballs. You understand? They're not goofballs like goofballs, but they're kind of corny. You understand? Like they're not. I don't think so. I think the good ones are not always the romancers. They are not, because if they know how to romance and they know how to say it just right and do it just right and all of that, I ain't talking about doing it now. That's a whole other conversation. I'm saying they know how to say what you want to hear, how to, wine and dine and all that stuff. What I'm saying is that sometimes when men are super smooth, you have to understand, baby, that comes from practice.
So then from that
comes from practice.
Okay. So from that, so that means if he don't know what he's saying, if he's stumbling on his words, and if he's
talking about a cornball. That's what I'm saying, not a quarter cornball. I'm saying, like, some of the guys that are the good ones are the ones that have not dated a million women, that they're not that guy, that they're the guy that has been looking for that one. And if we don't understand that as women, sometimes we can miscategorize a brother because he doesn't know, or because he's nervous when he comes to approach you, and maybe he does stumble on his words. You would never know, because to me, if you smooth, then in my mind, I'm like, okay, and who else you talking to? Because you didn't just develop this skill all of a sudden because I'm so inspirational. I'm telling you, listen. I gotta tell y'all one story. My sister-in-law, Dr. Mike's baby sister, she is happily married, right? Her husband was a member of our church. Okay, now he was faithfully married to a woman who passed away from cancer, unfortunately. Okay, she had gotten breast cancer and passed away. So that his wife was the only woman he ever loved. They married younger. He never played her, but he was super quiet guy. All right. diligent and all that stuff, but you wouldn't really know it because he was super quiet. He was not Rico Suave, never even came close to it. He actually, since they got married, he started, like she started helping him pick certain things. Like he good looking now, and he wasn't ugly then, but you understand, like he
right
different now as her husband. But the point is, when he first came, let me just say this, he went to Dr. Mike first.
Mm-hmm.
And he literally had all of his information. He had like a whole portfolio on who he was financially, credit worthy. You know what I'm saying? Like his whole record. We brought it. Listen, this is who I am. God, I really believe, has spoken to me and has shown me your sister. I would love to at least get to know her because I really already believe that she's my wife. But you know, and so with your permission, I would like to ask her for a date. That's my response. Well, my sister's grown, so I appreciate you asking me, but obviously she's gonna have to want to do that, and I can't speak for her. But I appreciate the way you've come, and you know, all of these things. You got all your ducks in a row. You've displayed to me that you have good intentions all up front. And he said, so, hey, as a pastor, but then also this is my baby sister. So I would say, you know, you have my permission, but let me talk to her first. And when Dr. Mike went to his sister, she was like, okay, so here's my list of stuff that I wanted. He's not tall. He's not this. He's not that. And Dr. Mike, and now mind you, she wasn't, you know, a spring chicken anymore at that time. Old, but she wasn't like in her early 20s or anything. You know, I think she was in her early 30s, maybe mid 30s. And and he said to her, she was listing all that. I don't know. I don't think so. I'm not interested because, you know, he doesn't talk and he's this and he's short. He's not tall. He's this. He's that. You know, like he's kind of corny, you know, like say those words. But what she's describing is corny, right? And so I was like, I see that. I mean, you know, I understand what you're saying. But Dr. Mike said something very profound to her. He said, now, let me just say something to you. Do you mean to tell me that while you've been declaring that you're Boaz, you've been declaring for your man of God, and you mean to tell me that you're going to miss David because he doesn't look like Saul?
My God.
Reference, right? And she was quiet. What that means is Saul was very handsome. Saul looked like he should be the leader. David, they said, was small. He was ruddy. You know, he wasn't that dude. So he said, you mean to tell me you're going to miss somebody with a heart like David because you looking for Saul? And she got quiet and she said, just let me think about it. Let me pray about it a little bit, because she was not excited at all about it. And so she came back and she said, you know what? I'm wrong. And I need to at least allow myself to get to know him. He didn't know how to do that stuff. You understand? Like he's not. When I tell you they are so happy and he treats her like a queen, and now he's decent looking. You know what I mean? Not that he was ugly, he was real regular.
Right. Yes, Dr. Sam, because I know exactly what you're talking about, and I know there are a lot of women that do miss out on their good, you know, their good thing because they have this superficial list of what he has to look like, you know, all this, and I get that, right? With that said, I know for me, right, after me in my house, I know that my husband is not going to be the corny, quiet type. That's just not going to work. That's not him. That ain't God. That ain't for me.
Maybe you can draw it out of him. What if he's corny now, but you're his helpmeet? It's not good for man to be alone.
Absolutely. Amen. But God is not going to send me. No, God knows me. He knows his daughter. He ain't going to send me that. Ain't going to work. So because of the type of woman that I am, right, and because of how I am positioned and the help that I am, how I've been equipped to be the rib to this man, it's not in that fashion. Now, I'm not saying that this is what I will be open to, right? I just came to a realization just maybe last week, and I said, you know what? My husband may not be as tall as I want him to. Perhaps. Well, he just may not. I was looking at a whole bunch of brothers that were
these average height dudes. I'm telling you,
very well to do, I mean, they're rich, they love God. I said, he may just be kind of short. And I said, okay, Lord, if that happens to be the case, okay, right? That's what I'm open to. Other than that, he certainly is a man who is he's a leader who leads from the front. He is someone who is very well spoken. Not necessarily mean he has to be charming you all day and being the romancer that you were saying, right? But he is someone who is confident and can speak. He's not hiding behind the room saying, I think you can go ahead. That's not my husband. You know, that could be somebody else's. Just not mine. That's all I'm saying.
Well, now what about this though? What I mean, and y'all can definitely speak together. You see me and Dr. Mike speak together, right? But like, you have such a dynamic voice. What if he wants to be the perfect support to everything that you are, but he's not that dude? I'm always the one to say that I'm glad we both don't talk a whole lot. I just can't. I can't do it. I just can't
do it.
You know?
Well, you know what? For me, I am a very strong individual and I am an alpha female. But with that, I'm also very submissive to the right person.
Exactly. Most of us are. Right person is the key.
To the right man, right? So for me, I know when to be feminine energy and not have to be masculine energy, right? So if I feel as if I have to be masculine energy because he's so quiet, we're not going anywhere. Because now I have to make sure that everything gets done, and that's just not going to work. Now, there are some strong men that are alpha in their way, or maybe even single, where they are not always in front, they're not always talking, but you know, when they say what they say, that's it, and it's yes, sir, right? She's like, I know. Right. So there's that too, right?
Trust me, alpha ain't got nothing to do with an abundance of words. Because I know some people that talk all the time and they ain't got no authority, and I know people that got 2 words to say and ain't nobody saying nothing after that.
Hello, exactly. That's
so I have some comments I want you to in my little watch party there is Guillermo Padilla, which I know is he is an entrepreneur and a man of God, and he said the conversation, he said this is good, and he said my daughters need to hear you ladies.
Wow.
And, Patricia Miller said, but opposites attract.
That's true. Opposites do attract. And I heard my good friend say this. His name is Marcus Raroja. He said, opposites attract, but how long do they stay together? Right? So we may very well
years going. 22 years and counting. That's how long.
Amen. Well, praise God for your testimony, right? They do attract a lot of times. But how well does that actually mesh? And not saying that you have to be exactly like your spouse. I'm not going to be exactly like my spouse. He's not going to be exactly like me. You know, we're going to have where I'm weak, he's strong. Where he's strong, I'm weak. Together, we have no weaknesses, right? So we're not going to have everything alike. But there are some commonalities that they're deal breakers, right? You can't. It's just not, right? There are just certain things that have to be in alignment. I cannot do a man that's passive, right? I cannot do, well, you, what we doing for dinner? What do you want to do? What do you want to go out? What do you think? No, this is where we're going. Yes, sir. Like, that's me, right? That's me. So
yes, sir, everything. I ain't. I served my time in the military. I ain't in no more.
She said, I'm my military. Once you say that, though, Dr. B, you saying that? Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say this because let me tell you, from my position where I am, and I think it is very divine that I am positioned where I'm positioned on the screen, right? Because I'm listening to you all, and it's almost like it's either this or that, when in fact, it can be this and that.
All right.
And it really depends on the person and the situation. Like, it can be that people can effectively and properly slide in DMs and they can do it the wrong way. Like, there's no right or wrong way for us to do life, right? And to do relationships. And that's the truth of it, right? But because we are in a very Eurocentric society that tells us that it's either got to be this way or it's got to be that way, there's a tendency for things to be seem as though they clash when they don't have to clash. It's just that some people are drawn to this and some people are drawn to that. And it's just a matter of what you're drawn to and what works for you. As for me,
Come on.
That's what I want to hear.
Right.
as for me, listen, it's important for me. It's important for a man to be able to lead me. And for me to be able to rest confidently in his ability to lead.
Rest. Come on, somebody.
Because if I can rest confidently in his ability to lead me, then I can breathe. I can relax. I don't have to show up so strongly because my preference is not to have to show up like that at home or in the relationship.
Right.
My preference is to be able to relax in the safety of his arms. And that safety is not just a physical protection, but it's a confidence in knowing that he's going to protect my heart, my emotions, and my spirit, right? And so those are things that like are really crucial, but you gotta show up with a certain type of energy. It's a certain energy that doesn't naturally evoke that in me, and it has to be evoked. And I just believe that we're drawn to what God knows we need in our walk, in our purpose, and our destiny. And then when that shows up, we respond the way that's needed in that situation. So I definitely see Dr. Sam and Dr. Mike. Listen, I absolutely love them, and I love their relationship. I love how they are together. Dr. Mike is not going to say a whole lot of words, but when Dr. Mike is done, he's done. You know he's done. There's very few men that frighten me.
A lot of people, and he's so kind. That's the funny thing about
He
it.
is. But listen, I just know Dr. Mike don't play. That's what I know. Dr. Mike don't play. I love him. That's my brother. He is a sweetheart, but he don't play. And he's a man that I can take his word, like whatever he says, I can take that word and know that that word is it.
And that's important. That is so important.
Yeah. And so the fact that it's not just you who recognizes that, Dr. Sam, but he evokes that, because even in his quiet, he speaks.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe that, again, that goes back to the character. Goes back to the character. And so, I also wonder, and I know, V, you said that even though technically you are a little older than me, not by much, but you're older than me.
I'm a lot older than you.
Well, I'm trying to be kind. I'm trying to be kind because you don't look older than me.
Well, I am. I'm going to be 54. I want all my years.
Come on.
I want all your years.
All my years.
Yeah. So with us being even in different generations, but then, there was just such a shift for me. So like maybe again, I still have this strong affinity against that. But then let me ask you this. So to me, because I know our generation, right? I know my generation, and I know a little bit, senior to you, but not by much. I'm 46. I think, yeah, 46. So, so I'm not even 10 years younger than you, right? So,
okay, come on.
Yeah. So the point is that like, that's not how, when we were in our young adulthood, that's not how people met. And so therefore the men in our age group or that are slightly older than us are also from our same like time frame, right? So to me, and again, this is to me,
right?
It's like a character trait at this point for a man in my age group to be trying to reach out to somebody. We are too old for that. Like, why?
But this is the thing.
But like Sarita's age group, that ain't as corny. Like that in itself is corny to me. Like why would you?
But see, this is the thing, though. I'm very technology driven. I'm technology driven, and although I am generation whatever I am, okay, I'm like right at the edge of Right. I'm
And
generation.
I'm at the edge of Xers and boomers. So I'm in that cusp. In
Yeah,
between,
that's
not
where I
boomer,
am.
not boomer. What's the other one?
Is it,
Millennial. I'm at the end of
Right.
X
And
into
I'm at the
millennial.
and I'm at the edge of boomer and X,
Mhm.
right? I'm right there. But my mind is millennial. I have a millennial mindset. And so
So you want to date a young dude, is what you're saying?
no, what I'm saying is what I'm saying is mindset is very important. What I'm saying is mindset is very important. So that mindset is important. That's what I'm
That's all you got?
We done messed her all the way up. She can't even talk now. That 38-year-old man, I got you busted.
Listen, she ready. Look at her. She blonde hair and everything. Look at you.
I couldn't do it.
You see, I'm the opposite. So,
Man, look, y'all.
but I'm the opposite. See, I like older men, right? And so for me,
That's
The
because you're young. When you get to be my age, you are not going to be one no older man.
no.
That's a whole different category. Dr. V, you are so funny. You are too funny. Guillermo Padilla said.
See, I like an older man because I've always been grown, right? So for me, most men my age were never at the mental state that I was at. So for me, not only is it because they're mentally sound, but there's also certain status, a certain level of accomplishment that certain men of a certain age should have, right? Should have. Now, I would say that I had one experience with someone that was younger than me that made me question my thought about younger men. And that was a shocker because I was always like, I don't even want to date someone that's my age, let alone younger than me. And this person was very, very mature. He had such an old soul. He knew so
Well,
much.
and that's what I was going to say. He's an exception, like you're an exception. And
Right,
I'm the same way. I can't see myself. Dr. Mike is 2 years older than me. And that's about as young as it would be. In my day, there won't be nobody. No.
Right. And even with you being older though, but I would say this. So if you're older, you still must have some form of youthfulness to you, right? Because if you're 45, 48, and you're like, oh, I got to go to sleep at 9 o'clock. And you're like, I'm getting old, baby. There's no conversation to be had, right?
He goes to bed at 9 because he's up at 5. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what if he goes to bed at 9 because he is, my computer about to shut down. Because
Because he's what?
Hurry up and get me a cord. Hold on.
Yeah, get you a cord. So
yeah, go get you a cord. Yeah, go get you a cord. Because listen, I get up at 5 and I don't go to bed at 9. So listen, you need to stay up.
I'm just saying that. I mean, I'm just saying, like, the point that I'm making is if he's old, if he's 45, 48, and he acts old, like, oh, let's just stay in all the time, and I don't want to do anything, and that ain't gonna work, right, at all. He has to be young, vibrant, and movement, and all of that. But when it comes to mentality, when it comes to mindset and purpose and drive, ambition and accomplishments, that takes, that has to be present is what I'm saying. But, there are very few younger men that are actually like that. But I'm just saying, you just can't be all the way in the spectrum. You know what I mean? You got to be that some type of medium is what I'm saying. So I know our laptops and devices are dying. We've been going there for over an hour. Dr. Sam on the phone. Her husband trying to figure out what she had. What'd you think of me?
Can you bring me a cord? cord. Just need a cord. I need a little more juice. More juice. Well, you all listen
to this, y'all. I'll say this. The front half of it is only one tiny bit of the battle when it comes to life for the long haul with a life partner. Mm-hmm. Because seasons of life, you change. Yeah. And how he was in the beginning is not going to be how he is in the middle. Is not going to be how he is on the latter half, and so of your lives. And so to me, one of the keys that we have had is the fact that we've grown together, and that when we went into different seasons, being willing to accept whoever it is that you're with now that you're in covenant. That's why I do think picking somebody in the beginning is important, but knowing that they're not going to stay the same, just like you're not going to stay the same. Mm-hmm. And so whenever people grow and they change, it's an openness, a willingness to accept them, because if not, I don't know that I don't care how good a person is. It's going to be difficult to stay together if you're not willing to love them purely because you love them. And that's it. Like once you're together, that's a whole, again, another discussion. We still talking about like early stages and how you weed out the foolery, right? But I just don't like to see women get caught up. I don't like to see women get caught up. I don't like to see women make bad choices, because usually the ones that do are the sweethearts. Like they're so sweet and they're so kind, and then they believe people way too easy in my assessment, right? And so I don't know. I'm all for being willing to get to know somebody, you know. But that's why God let me go ahead and be out the way before all this stuff came up, because maybe I would have just never done it. There'd have been no 6 kids. There'd have been none of it, because I don't know.
Dr. V,
listen, I have enjoyed listening to y'all because y'all are hilarious. Okay, and the funny thing to me is I've got,
it's in my office.
Listen, saved and super saved. Saved, super saved, and Dr. V. Okay? But what's funny to me is, you all will flip roles, right? And I shouldn't say, and I don't want people to perceive that as a negative thing. It's not. It's a mindset. And I think because Dr. Sam used to be the club girl, right? Because she used to be the club girl. She danced, all of that. Not stripped. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, I don't want nobody to say.
No, I didn't do that often at all.
Yeah.
I didn't do that often. I didn't.
She said, not often. I'm done.
Okay. That's another show. Okay. That's a whole nother show. Okay. But I think that your experiences and your encounter and where you are, like all of that affects how you view the world. And it really is about how you view the world. It really is about perception and perspective. And both of you are right for you. You understand? Like both of you are, like, your views are valid, and there's a segment that they work for. And I think the most difficult thing is figuring that piece out. What is it that's going to work for you? What is it that you need? Now, Dr. Sam clearly has what she needs, right? But like, how does it show up? And because of technology and because of how things change, and I'm kind of like Sharita in that I firmly believe that technology has changed the way we do life, right? For a lot of people, because funny enough, I don't really go anywhere. I don't go a lot of places. My encounters with people tend to be on social media.
Exactly.
To be honest with you, I don't like going places because I can disconnect from social media immediately. If I'm in a location, I can't just disconnect from you, right? I gotta leave the whole environment, right? And so, to be honest, I have a limited amount that I'm willing to give, I can give that limited amount on social media and be done and shut down.
Yeah, that's real.
And so it's a natural habitat for me. It's a natural place for me to exist, you know, and be okay with existing in that space in a very authentic way. And then to find those other people who exist in that space in an authentic way. Now, listen, if Dr. Sam and I had met on social media, we probably wouldn't be friends.
I believe that.
Because we met through someone who was telling both of us, oh, you got to meet my sister. Oh, you got to meet my sister. But listen, I met Dr. Sam and I was like, I don't know. She real saved. I don't know. But we have an amazing relationship. But for Dr. Sam, that live encounter is very important. And for me, that social media encounter is very important. The live encounter is important too, but like being able to see, because for me, I also like feel like I can see more aspects and over time and that stuff. But I'm so thankful and happy and grateful because Sharita and I met through somebody too. And similarly, we watched each other on social media with a side eye. We had a whole side eye thing going on social media. We looking like
side eye first, okay? She was looking at me. She had the side eye.
Oh no! But the amazing thing is, regardless of where we met, the fact that we've been able to build a relationship and not just friendship, sisterhood, but a relationship that has allowed us to impact the lives of so many people with this business, with these products, with our presence together, because we are a living, breathing example of diversity and the fact that Black women cannot agree on everything and still work together and be effective and respect one another's opinions. So I want to thank both of you, my sisters, for being who you are in my life, because I need both of you. I need both.
Dr. V.
I need all that salvation. Save me. I'm telling you, I need all of it in my life, honey. Y'all make me better.
We all do. It tends to success. And ultimate success and not temporary satisfactions.
Come on. But this was good. I appreciate it.
She was like, yeah.
I cannot. Somebody slid your DMs, Dr. V. Somebody came in your inbox.
No, girl. No, I don't get people sliding in my DMs.
That's a lot. But okay. But this was really
talking
good.
about, girl.
Okay. This was really good because, like you said, Dr. V, we were able to discuss different points of views. And, you know, that's where I believe change begins, when we can have conversations and really go through what our thoughts are, what our beliefs are, and being able to look at the world view that we've created in our own world to see how they can match and or not. But just being respectful of each other's, you know, thoughts and having fun at the same time is definitely amazing, because there are different people that may resonate with Dr. Sam, resonate with Dr. V, and resonate with me. And either way, we still respect each other and have a good time talking about what we're talking about. And their husband, if you happen to find me on these Facebook streets, you know how to come find me.
Come into my DM respectfully.
Do your research, come respectfully, and know that you've heard from God.
Let's not even get started about when every brother wants to say that God done told him that you are their wife. I'm like, so somebody gotta be mishearing, because he can't be saying that about that many people, because I'm pretty sure it's not the will of God for me to be married to that many people. It can't. Right. Being young in my faith, going another one, like, but you know what? Never mind. All y'all crazy. I'm done. Yeah.
For real. And like, honestly, you didn't hear, if that's what you didn't hear that from God. Didn't tell you to talk to me like that. Like, see, that's the thing. Like, you would know how to speak to me. And that's why some people that know me personally think that I'm super let's see the word. They say like I'm picky and things like that. And it's not that I'm picky. I just know. Dr. V, don't do that. Don't do me, Dr. V. Don't do me.
I had
Yeah, don't do me.
Oh,
Don't.
she was checking her DMs. No,
That part.
I'm teasing. I'm
not picky, but I just know. And it's the same way, my same level of knowing and belief, in the same way that I know that I'm a multimillionaire, the same way that I know that I have billboards around the world, it's the same way I know what kind of man is my husband. So when I may see someone, be it they have the full ensemble, like, ooh, that looks like him, but I'll know it's not him based off of something could be small, like how he said that. You really, Sharita, how he said that? Yes. And it's because I know the type of, it's that literal, because I know what type of person I am and what type of person would, that, so I know, right? That's what I'm saying. So I know, even if I were to make a call, like I just did jokingly, it doesn't matter you come in my inbox or now. If I see you in person, I'm gonna know, like, nah, bro, that's just not it, So in any case, we've been on here for a good old time, but this is fun. This was fun, yes. On our CBD coffee jazz and conversation. Get you this.
Turn the cup all the way up.
I'm trying to tell you, this was great, y'all. I appreciate you, Dr. Sam. I appreciate you, Dr. V. Any final remarks before we get off? Nope. Well, amen. Sip that coffee.
Coffee.
Yes, get you some of this CBD coffee, y'all. You want some of this CBD premium gourmet coffee? Get in the inbox of Dr. Sam if you're watching her directly. Get in Dr. V's inbox if you're watching directly from her page. And if you're watching from my page on my YouTube, holla at your girl, and we will give you your own CBD Caprice coffee. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for joining. Until next time, only believe until the end and go get your life and a cup of Caprice coffee. Be blessed, y'all.
I'm a millionaire, money better cases.